God, I don't know how many times I've done this recording. I think I've done this recording, I believe 8 or 9 times already, and every single recording has been extremely long. But by the way, do not skip this intro. I'm just going to say one more thing. The Trove Into the Deep update is going to drop in like a next couple of weeks, and the thing is, it's going to be pretty important to know because the Into the Deep update is going to drop some banners, and those banners is going to increase the maximum amount of light. So every time you hear me say max light or max damage is going to be 34.1 kpr and at least 5819 light. I know after the Into the Deep update is going to be increased in terms of like maximum light output because of the new banners. So yeah, so that keep that in mind whenever I say max damage. Yes, this is what I meant. 34.1 kpr, 5819 light, and at least 3.4 million coefficient in Uber 10. With that being said, let's get started. Hello and welcome to another JNMG video. I'm your host JonNario, and today is another Troves endgame, this time featuring the Dracolyte. My Dracolyte is currently sitting at 31,257 powering, and you're going to see the stats right now. One thing to keep in mind about my stat is going to be that I had 2,977 light. The reason I have this is because this character I have as high coefficient instead of high light. This is one of 3 characters that I have as high coefficient instead of high light because, I don't know, I wanted to use this character for something like Shadow Tower instead of using Revenant and Gunslinger. Yes, Revenant and the Gunslinger are the other 2 characters that I don't have high light, that I have only high coefficient. Alright, so yeah, keep that in mind. I have a full crystal level 3 critical damage movement, see all pieces of gear, maximum health hat and face, and critical hit on weapon. The reason I have hat and face on critical hit is because I don't have Vampire and Vanquisher, and this character doesn't have the best survivability if you don't have Vampire and Vanquisher. So you need as much maximum health as possible. With critical hit, it is the same reason as always. I always have critical hit if I need to get to 100%. I have Preferred Penguin as my ally. It is the best magic damage ally for any dungeon grinding character. I have an energy regen stellar 5 ring. The reason being is because this character uses a lot of energy, especially when you're throwing burnt offerings. And so energy regen is extremely beneficial. I would recommend you to have energy regen on ring first, and then if you need more energy regen, then you can go ahead and use it on the staff. But I would recommend you to have it only on the ring because that is more than enough. Also, one thing to keep in mind is going to be that I have Arcane, Chrono Emblem, and I actually have food this time around. This is the first character that I will be showing that I will be using food. Let me unequip it just a little bit because, you know, if I use this on the Gem Forge, the food glitch is going to proc, and the food glitch is kind of annoying. So I will be waiting until this food goes away so I can just show you the gems. I'm using Arcane. This character doesn't need Arcane, but I don't have highlight and I need as much damage as possible with Arcane. Conjures Kusoba is the same reason as always, and Chronomatic Emblem because I actually am using this character with low cooldown speed, and I'm using the ultimate ability as much as possible so I can help out with the survivability since I don't have Vampire and Vanquisher. And Monte Carlo Renaissance class so I can use as many flasks as possible, and since I don't have Trailblazing or Vampire and Vanquisher, then I can get as many movement speed as I can with my mounts. Anyways, moving on into my gems, waiting on for the food first and foremost. So, my gems are going to be as follows. All of my Empower gems are 2-1 magic, including my Cosmic gem, all of them are 2-1 magic. But let's just go with Fire, Water, and Air first and foremost, but 2-1 magic on all of them, so it is 2 magic damage, 1 critical damage roll across all of my Empower gems. And my lesser gems is going to be perfectly divided half and half with 2-1 magic and 2-1 crit damage across all of my gems, including my Cosmics. So I'm just going to put the rolls right now on screen, and I'm just going to tell you one more thing. It's going to be that this character definitely needs Vampire and Vanquisher. I don't have Vampire and Vanquisher because I'm not lucky enough to get enough Vampire and Vanquisher. I've only gotten out of 2500 Empower Gem boxes, I've only gotten 2 Stellar 3 stars. So yeah, I'm not fortunate enough to get more Vampire and Vanquisher, but get Vampire Vanquisher with this character. It definitely needs it. Like, this character's survivability is on the low side. I honestly thought that the survivability was actually much better, but after actually using this character for, like, again, I said like 8 to 9 recordings, and not to mention I also used it on live stream, this character's survivability is a little bit on the lackluster side. You get hit a lot when you're throwing your burnt offerings. So you need Vampire and Vanquisher, definitely you need the class gem, and you can use whichever other abilities you want. Obviously Paradise is the way to go with every single character because it not only does damage, it gives you movement speed, and giving you movement speed with this character is actually really good because again you will be using a lot of movement speed, and yeah, with this character it's going to be very beneficial to have Paradise. The other ability I will say is use something like Cubic Curtain if you want, but you can use whichever the one you feel is good. Again, I have Volatile Velocity, which is a big oof, and it doesn't help with anything besides like the Fireball ability. And yeah, so the standard, you use the standard class gen Vampire and Vanquisher, Pirate is with this character, but Vampire and Vanquisher is the most important out of everything. That is everything regarding all of my gens. Let me go into Uber 10 right now. So, what do I think of the Dracolyte end game? So, the Dracolyte is actually a really powerful character. Is it the best when it comes to dungeon grinding? No. Is it actually one of the best? Not really. Is it strong? Yes, it's strong as all hell. Does it one-shot? Yes. Does it need arcane? No. Those are the questions that you should be asking yourself. But honestly speaking, the character itself is really strong. There's no question about that. The DPS is just ridiculous. It's one of the few characters that you can do well without arcane or any of the damaging abilities like arcane or martial. And this character is actually one of the characters that you don't need arcane in endgame. Like, the damage is strong enough that you don't need it. So this character is actually extremely powerful. It is extremely strong. But the reason I don't say it's one of the best in dungeon grinding is because this is a setup character. Setup characters are mostly meant to be used for Shadow Towers, and these are the characters that are best in Shadow Tower, because Shadow Tower, you set everything up, you turn on the Cursed Gold, and then you go to town. In dungeon grinding, you can destroy one dungeon incredibly fast, but it's going to take you forever in order to, detonate everything. Once you kill everything, then you have to go into the next dungeon and do the exact same thing. There's no consistent momentum building with this character. It's going to be mostly one dungeon, you destroy, move on to the next dungeon, mostly going in mouse speed, so it's usually going to be extremely slow. This is a character that momentum is not a strong suit. The strong suit on this character is going to be damage, burst damage, and DPS. Everything regarding damage is like this character's strong suit. You're going to kill everything so fast, it's actually kind of ridiculous. Like, this character that you see right here doesn't even have 3000 light. And I'm just doing a 3-star dungeon, and you're going to see that I will be pretty much one-shotting the 3-star boss. So this character is actually extremely powerful. When it comes to dungeon grinding and everything, it is extremely powerful. But dungeon grinding is not the best thing for this character. You don't have the best momentum. You are not the fastest character out there. Like, technically this is the fastest that you can move, which is going on lava, and you will be getting a plus 75% increase to your movement speed, which is literally the fastest movement speed out there, but it is a pretty niche movement speed buff. You can tell right here that was a one-shot, that was 3-star boss. It's kind of ridiculous how strong and how powerful this character is. However, there's a couple of weaknesses to this character. First and foremost is going to be the survivability. It's not the best survivability out there because it's a setup type character. Setup type character usually doesn't have the best initial survivability, and seeing that this is Uber 10, you will be taking full damage across all enemies if you're setting everything up. Like, let's take for example, if you see an enemy right over here, you have to throw all your bombs, and you can tell that I almost died right there. It will happen that very, very frequently. And yeah, that is the thing that this character does not have going for it. It is the survivability. Something like Vampire and Vanquisher is extremely good for this character because you're using a lot of basic attack and you're hitting so many times a second. You will be healing a lot of hits if you have Vampire and Vanquisher, but if you don't have Vampire and Vanquisher like me, yeah, you're pretty much screwed with subpar survivability. So that is one thing to keep in note. The survivability on this character is a little bit on the lackluster side. The other thing is going to be momentum. Again, like I mentioned, this is a setup type character. A setup type character, you have to set everything up in order to do the most damage possible. That is not good momentum. Good momentums are like something like the Spitfire ability, which is an instant cast ability that you will destroy everything. The thing is with the Spitfire ability, it's like the Neon Ninja Shuriken. It will only activate if you hit enemies with your basic attacks. So let's take for example, like this, I don't have the Spitfire ability because you can tell by the little dragon that it's not filled up. So the Spitfire ability, you have to hit an enemy with basic attack. So if you have the Spitfire full, you can actually just have one of the best momentum out there because again, you can one-shot with the Spitfire because it does 6 times damage. Anyways, moving on into multipliers because I need to explain the multipliers on this character. This character's multipliers aren't that high. Believe it or not, this character's multiplier aren't the highest, but however, this character is going to be all about hitting so many times a second that it actually makes the DPS so incredibly good. So let's start off with basic attack at 1.5 times damage multiplier, and it does 4 attacks per second with no attack speed modifier increase. So this is one of the few basic attacks that you cannot modify with attack speed. And seeing that it doesn't modify with attack speed, it is a stable 4 attacks per second. As far as 100% as base attack speed, this is tied for second fastest behind the Shadowhunter ult and tied with the Tomb Raiser. However, when it comes to end game grinding, this is one of the slowest basic attack. This is like below average in terms of attacks per second across all characters at max attack speed. Max attack speed, all characters attack from 4 to 7 attacks per second, and usually it's going to be 5 to 7, which is going to be like the average to above average is going to be from 5 to 7. And this character doesn't have the 5 attacks per second. This does 4 attacks per second. And it is the same as something like Revenant, if you want that for example. So it is around the same as a Revenant with max attack speed, but the thing is you don't need attack speed with this character, so it is actually pretty decent. Like, you can have that as an option. Crowd control is pretty nice, and it is a 6 block range, which is pretty nice for a basic, but it's not the best out there. Second ability is going to be the Spitfire. Like I mentioned, it's a single target attack that it only activates if you hit an enemy, I believe 3 times with your basic. And you will have the little ally right over here filled up. This little ally right here is going to deal Shao 6 times damage. It is 2 lines of damage, 4 times damage and 2 times damage. So it is going to be 2 times damage direct impact and 4 times damage AoE. So that is the damage multiplier on Spitfire, single target, and it's a pretty long range ability. As you can tell, the hit detection is kind of wonky. Next ability is going to be the bread and butter of this character, your main damaging ability, which is going to be Burnt Offering. Burnt Offering, actually each and every single bomb only does 4.5 times damage multiplier. Believe it or not, that is not high for a damage ability. That is the same as Candy Barbarian Sugar Crush, like it is only 4.5 times damage multiplier. The thing is, it is an ability that doesn't have any cooldown. There's 2 ways that this ability actually procs. You can actually throw it down and wait out, I believe it is 4 or 5 seconds. Until it detonates automatically, or you can actually hit it with your basic attack 3 times and it will detonate by itself. Hitting bombs 3 times with your basic is going to detonate the bombs immediately, and it's going to be pretty freaking strong. Seeing that this is a no cooldown fast ability that you can detonate them really fast, it is actually really good for burst damaging capabilities, because the capabilities of this ability is just extremely powerful when it comes to doing one-shots. And then you take into consideration the class gen. The class gen, what it does, it will spawn little versions of you. Each and every single minion does 0.75 times damage, which is the same as a Tomb Raiser minion, Boomeranger minion with the class gem, and yeah, those are the standard base multiplier on minions. And yeah, the class gen on Dracolyte is no exception. The thing is, this is the fastest minion attacking out of all minions in the entire game. The attacks per second, it is also a solid 4 attacks per second. Each and every single minion does half of the base damage that you do, but they attack equally as fast as the base Draco. So it is 4 attacks per second, 0.75 times damage multiplier each and every single one, and you can have up to 6 of them. That is pretty freaking ridiculous if you take into consideration, because if you don't kill with the Burnt Offering, which is going to be like this ability right here, and if you don't kill with the incredible burst damage of each and every single bomb that doing 4.5 times damage, it will spawn all of your minions doing 0.75 4 times per second. That is pretty ridiculous, because take this into consideration. If you summon 3 of them, like it's easy to summon 3 of them with a full energy bar if you have energy regen ring, each and every single bomb is going to do 4.5 times damage. That is a total of 13.5 times damage immediately just from the bombs itself. If the bomb didn't kill, which is normally in Uber 10 is kind of difficult because you're going to kill pretty much everything one shot. If it doesn't kill, I believe each and every single minion will be doing 0.75 times damage 4 times every single second, so it will be attacking 12 times a second. That's without including the Spitfire ability. Yourself, that is just... like, it is so ridiculous. If you think about it, like the Draco, this is the reason the Draco is so overpowered. Like, the Draco is so overpowered, it's kind of ridiculous, because it does so much damage. The burst damage is just out of this world. Everything is just ridiculous. And then you take into consideration the ultimate ability. The reason I have a lot of cooldown reduction with the Draco is because the ultimate ability is one of the most broken ultimate abilities for any character in the entire game. Do you know in the last episode that the Ice Age, I said that the Ice Age ultimate ability is pretty ridiculous? So yeah, the Ice Age ultimate ability gives you 3 buffs. Granted, the 3 buffs that it grants you are incredibly powerful, like 2 times damage, max attack speed pretty much, and 50 plus movement speed, which is just ridiculous by itself. But did you know that the Draco ultimate ability gives you 6 buffs? Yeah, you heard that right. Like, the Draco's ultimate ability actually grants you 6 buffs. These are the following buffs that you will be getting. You will be getting a stability buff, a health regeneration buff, a 10 plus movement speed. I believe it is like 50% base increase to your magic damage, so that's a base damage increase similar to like the Revenant passive. And it's also going to make your basic attack do double damage while in the duration. Yes, it does double damage. Your basic attack transforms from 1.5 to 3 times damage. But this is one thing that it doesn't say in like the toolbar or anywhere, is that it increases your attacks per second from 4 to 6. So yes, it will make your basic attack do 3 times damage, 6 attacks per second. So that's pretty much a little bit stronger than the nice basic attack. And yeah, the nice basic attack is one of the best basic attack in the game. I'll argue that it might be like the best basic attack in the entire game just because it is so powerful and what it does. And yeah, this basic attack pretty much transforms your Draco into doing night type basic attack. More damage from every single ability, and like I mentioned, every single ability is going to dish out some of the most ridiculous damage out there. Then you have all of those things combined, and now one thing I forgot to mention is going to be that the ultimate ability also grants you a 50% reduce incoming damage. So yes, aside from all of those buffs that I mentioned, you also take half the damage. Yes, it is literally the same as the Iron's Will, like the nice ultimate ability, but it gives you damage, it gives you movement speed, it pretty much doubles your basic attack, it makes your basic attack do more attacks per second. It's just ridiculous, this ultimate ability. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that the Ice Age ultimate ability lasts for 5 seconds. However, the Draco's ultimate ability lasts for 15. That's ridiculous, because it is one of the strongest ultimate abilities out there, and it is one of the longest lasting ultimate abilities in the game. Most ultimate ability lasts for 10 seconds. The Draco lasts for 15. For some reason it is literally 15 seconds of timer, and yeah, it is pretty freaking ridiculous. 15 seconds from an ability that doesn't have a 50-second cooldown, it has a 40-second cooldown. That's so stupid. That's kind of ridiculous. That's so overpowered. Like, that ultimate ability is so overpowered, and that's the reason I have a lot of cooldown reduction with this character. I'm just going to explain to you what is the Draco's gameplay or the game plan in just editing. I will not be saying anything, but I will just explain to you just via editing. This is how it is. Yeah, that's pretty much what that's pretty much the Draco in a nutshell. Like, you literally just throw all those bombs and then immediately and this just destroys life. I almost died by right there. Like, you can tell that the survivability is not that great, but still, like, the damage is just ridiculously powerful, and it's so good. It's such a fun class, to be honest. It is a really fun class, and I will suggest a lot of people to try it out. But honestly speaking, it's not going to be the best character out there for overtime grinding. It's going to be one of the better characters to actually main, just because it is like the Revenant. It's one of the characters that is just going to make everything so much easier, but it's not going to be the best character out there because it does have weaknesses, unlike the Revenant, unlike the Ice Age, even to an extent unlike the Vanguardian. The Vanguardian has barely any weaknesses, and this character actually does have weaknesses, like I mentioned, the survivability part, and momentum is not the greatest because, again, it is a setup type character. But if you don't care about any of those, like being as efficient as possible, then this character is going to turn out to be an extremely overpowered character. It's going to turn out to be really strong, really powerful, and really great for you to use. It's going to one-shot every single mob out there. It's going to destroy every single dungeon out there. Like, the damage is just ridiculous, but it's not going to be the fastest character out there. And not only that, it's also a really good Shadow Tower class. So it is a win-win using this character. So if you are planning to use the Draco, and if you don't know how the Draco is actually, the Draco is one of the best characters out there. And if you use a max light Draco, which I would recommend you to use, especially once the Into the Deep update comes out, because you will be doing so much DPS with this character against Leviathans. You can actually, if you are maxed out in terms of light, and in Uber 10 you don't need Arcane, because the damage that I'm dealing right here with the Draco with Arcane is similar to a max light Draco currently at 34.1 KPR. Like, it's going to dish out similar damage, like both of them. And actually it is extremely good. Like, you can tell right here, I'm literally just doing close to similar damage as a maxed out Draco without Arcane, and you can tell that I'm literally just one-shotting every single boss. So you can use, if you want to use this character without Arcane, then you can do so. If you're endgame, you can do so if you have highlight. One thing that I would recommend you to use with this character is going to be as much one-shot as possible with the burnt offerings. So you have only the class gem as an extra option just to kill the extra mobs or something like that. Just do not rely on the class gem to do the DPS. Just rely on the burst damage from the normal abilities, like the normal burnt offerings, just to do the amount of damage. But anyways, I don't have to say anything about this character anymore. Like, this character is just extremely powerful. It is extremely good, but it is not a character like specifically built for something like Uber 10 grinding. I would suggest using this character mostly for Shadow Towers, and it is going to be an extremely over the top character. In my opinion, it is 4th best character out there, because it is a character that requires you to use the class gem if you want to use the character to its fullest potential. And not only that it requires the class gem, it has some weaknesses when it comes to dungeon grinding. However, the DPS is just ridiculously powerful, and it is extremely good. But that is all for today. Like, this video is turning out, always it turns out to be extremely long in terms of like everything, like the recording, just ridiculous. So I'm just going to put this video like extremely like lengthy, so I apologize if you don't like this kinds of lengthy videos, but there's nothing I could do. There's a lot of things that I have to explain with this character. And yeah, I actually forgot to even compare this character to some of the other characters, which I think it does, but there's no point in doing so. But yeah, anyways, this character, it is extremely powerful, and I would suggest a lot of people to use it. Thank you for watching, thank you for sticking around as always. Reset should be hitting right now, like literally this is, that collection challenge is literally reset, like weekly reset, so it's going to be really fun. So as you can tell right here, I got purple nail again, woohoo. So thank you for watching, thank you for sticking around as always. Leave a like if you want to help the channel grow, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and that is all for today. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and keep on hunting, and this has been the Dracolyte at Endgame. See ya.